My lord Pharaoh, he of the two Egypts, will have war, and the inestimable pleasure of encompassing your doom. It is war then. May the holy crocodiles grow bored with feasting on thy rotting carcasses.
In the name of the Lord of the two Egypts, strength and health be his. I accept your most worthy proposal. Pharaoh, strength be his, will bless you for suggesting such a thing. I accept in his mighty name. O Pharaoh, Lord of the two Egypts, forgive your humble servant for accepting this proposal. Your sagacity is matched only by your persuasive wit. I accept for glorious Pharaoh, all health be his. I must accept in glorious Pharaoh's name, for we can do nothing else when troubles surround us. I will give voice to masterful Pharaoh's acceptance and his gratitude for your dealings with his humble servant. The Pharaoh, health and long life to him, bids me agree to your words so that his tongue goes unpolluted. Pharaoh, wisdom and strength be his, will surely punish me for agreeing to so feeble a proposal. I accept, although I wish the offer were better. I hope Pharaoh, all praise be his, is understanding. Pharaoh, all merciful and ever just, will probably have me thrown to sacred crocodiles for this agreement. Pharaoh, strength and wisdom to him, would ask for more, but I am content that we have agreement. Next time, your words will find a more demanding audience. But for today, you have agreement with Egypt. In the name of the Lord of the great house, health and strength unto him, I agree. Let all our words today be weighed against the feather of truth, and let none be found wanting. I will speak for Pharaoh, the Lord of the two Egypts, and give voice to his acceptance. Now that all is said, I will speak for Pharaoh, Horus reborn, and give thanks for this agreement. For the agreement, my humble thanks. Now, I must explain our dealings to the Lord of the Nile. I, the humble servant of divine Pharaoh, the shield of Egypt, thank you for this agreement. Thoth in his wisdom has come after much talk from us and aided our deliberations. Unworthy servant to the mighty that I am, I thank you for your acceptance. For your agreement, the thanks of Pharaoh, the heir of Amun-Ra. Let your words weigh true in the balance. You are wise beyond your years in this acceptance. Pharaoh, the fountain of beneficence, would have me thank you. Your acceptance is a welcome as a cool evening breeze after the desert's heat. My thanks. Your acceptance is most prudent and becoming to your wisdom. Pharaoh, divine master of Egypt, thanks you. To hear the words of Pharaoh, the Lord of the two Niles, is a blessing. To accept them, wise indeed. Thoth has guided you from doubt to wise action. He is a kind God in his way. Divine Pharaoh will be pleased at your acceptance. Any step along the path of wisdom is a good one. Your choices have been wise and reflect well upon your people, even in comparison to Egyptians. You are wise indeed to give gracious and beneficent Pharaoh such a handsome gift. In the name of Pharaoh, the firstborn of all Egyptians, I accept your generous tribute. I thank you for your gift. In the name of Pharaoh, divine light of his people. Pharaoh, mighty steward of his people, is pleased that you will protect his people. We will be your worthy servants, even as we serve Pharaoh, health and strength be his. We bow down before Pharaoh, our just overseer. He will surely protect us from any cruelties. A strange choice to reject the friendly hand of Pharaoh, all-wise, all-knowing, in this fashion. I trust this courageous decision will not be one that you regret. As the crocodile said to the impetuous swimmer, walk your own path into the desert, but do not expect Pharaoh, the all-wise, to give you water. You are brave indeed to reject the shelter offered by the hand of Pharaoh, the all-defending. Before the final journey to the underworld, there are many partings. This is but one more. Set aside the friendship of Pharaoh, from whom all blessings flow, and go into the darkness, such is your path. I hope Pharaoh, wisdom unto him, sees merit in stopping his armies at your borders. I do not. No Egyptian army will enter your lands from this day on with peaceful intent. Pharaoh, honor and glory to his name, will not send his mighty armies into your rather paltry lands. Very well. Your goods only cheated honest Egyptian purchasers anyway. So be it.
Pharaoh, health and strength be his, has already issued orders to expel your merchants. Your merchants and their children will weep from hunger. Egyptians will not weep for lack of your wares. The soldiers of Pharaoh, the lion of the desert, will leave your lands as soon as possible. My lord Pharaoh, gentlest yet strongest of rulers, will remove his troops as you request. If the soldiers of Pharaoh, all might be his, are not welcome, they will leave. Wisdom then is fled into the desert like a goat stealing brigand. If this is all we have after so many words, the Lord of two lands, the Father of wisdom, will not understand your decision, but it is yours to make. I am saddened that wisdom is unknown among your people. Pharaoh, the guide of souls, will be equally sad. Your decision is, I hope, not as foolish as it first appears. Perhaps Thoth will visit you later. I hope you are wise in this decision. Pharaoh, whose might encompasses the earth, will be disappointed. You may reject the words of Pharaoh, master of the desert, in the morning, and hear them anew at evening. Glorious Pharaoh's humble servant does not understand your reluctance, but will carry word of it to Egypt's master. I fear that Sutek has placed doubt and confusion in your hearts. Pharaoh, from whom mercy flows, will be saddened. Our talk then has been like blossom on the desert breeze, beautiful but soon dry and worthless. Very well. War it will be. The great Pharaoh's army, may his sword stay sharp, will not rest while you live. So war comes. Know this, the kites will circle for you, not the noble sons of Egypt. For your honesty, my thanks. As to the coming war, you have my ill wishes and curses in abundance. You show your true mettle. We will meet you in battle, and Pharaoh, all wise and kind, will review your corpses. By this act, the days of peace are over. In the name of Pharaoh, mighty monarch of all, be accursed. May your sword rust, your shield shatter, and your sword arm wither. We are ready for your war. War? Only the jackals and carrion birds will thank you for this foolishness. Pharaoh, lord of many armies, welcomes your war and keenly anticipates his future pleasures with your wives. Very well, we will have war. Fools! Pharaoh, mightiest of commanders, unsheaths his sword today. We are at war. May you suffer 1,000 curses and 1,000 more as payment for this folly. I bring greetings to you, friend of Pharaoh, glory and wealth unto him, and the blessings of his words. Greetings and blessings from the mouth of Pharaoh, the blessed of Maat, at this joyous meeting of friends. Blessings unto the worthy, given in the name of mighty Pharaoh, and greetings to our friends. I will speak fair words in the name of Pharaoh, Lord of the two Egypts, so that agreement comes quickly. In the name of all-wise Pharaoh, hail! Give gracious hearing to my mission. I speak with the voice of Pharaoh, the merciful and just, and bid you hear my words with kindness. May wisdom of Thoth be yours as you listen. So speaks my master, glorious Pharaoh. I would beg a little of your time to hear my unworthy embassy, although I speak but poorly. I have come with words from Pharaoh, the ornament of his people, to fill your ears with truth. In Pharaoh's name, health be his, I bring fair greetings, blessings, and words of honesty. On your knees as I speak the words of Pharaoh, glory and strength to him, and give thanks for his wisdom. Tremble at the words of Pharaoh, mighty and terrible, as my tongue gives voice for your unworthy ears. Greetings from my noble lord, Pharaoh of the two lands. I speak now with his voice, in honesty, not flattery. I will speak with divine Pharaoh's voice, for his power encompasses all. You will listen with due diligence. Listen. For I speak for Pharaoh, master of sky and earth. I give voice to his majesty and truth. It is my part to speak according to divine Pharaoh's will. It is your part to listen respectfully. Greetings from Pharaoh, master of all true men, to you, even though you are a foreigner and unworthy. Pharaoh, great hunter of the Nile, does you a great honor by sending me, his humble servant, as an emissary. Kneel and listen to the words of Pharaoh, among all the kings of men, the first and mightiest. I speak the majestic and just words of mighty Pharaoh, heir to a lineage older than all others. Greetings and such felicitations as do honor to my master Pharaoh. Health and strength be ever his. I approach in the dread name of Pharaoh. Strength be unto him. My words are his words and should have a hearing. Greetings from my divine Lord, Pharaoh of the two Egypts. I speak as his voice and listen as his ears. Greetings and the blessings of the river from cataract to delta. I come to serve at divine Pharaoh's order. Pharaoh, whose words bring joy to every ear, bids me give his greetings and speak to you. Greetings, foreigner, in the name of glorious Pharaoh, the justice and master of Egypt. My Lord Pharaoh, divinity in human flesh, wishes me to speak on his behalf concerning matters between our peoples. For Pharaoh, first among kings, greetings and blessings. We have much to discuss. The divine Pharaoh, in his majesty and holiness, sends blessings for our meeting in the hope of a favorable outcome. Pharaoh, who is like unto the gods, orders me to give you greetings and to speak plainly of his desires. The Pharaoh, who speaks with the voice of thunder, will order an attack on this people. Would this help? Mighty Pharaoh, who speaks only to the worthy, offers his many warriors in an attack against these people. Pharaoh, virility to him and his line, offers warriors to attack these people. Do you accept his aid? This humble servant of Pharaoh, the river of joy to his people, dares to suggest an attack on these miscreants. Pharaoh, the chief of heaven's strategists, asks that you attack these insolent people. They offend him. These people are surely as ripe grain by the river, waiting to be harvested. Can you carry out an attack? The Pharaoh, the favorite of Anhur, requests your help against these folk, as his own forces are threatened. Pharaoh, whose presence sweetens the world, requires your aid against these foul, barbarous people. I will speak plainly. Divine Pharaoh, concerned for the safety of his people, requests you aid our defense. Your soldiers appear to have strayed into the lands of the Pharaoh, the master of the flood. Perhaps you could remove them soon. Divine Pharaoh's dreams have been much disturbed of late because your warriors are in his lands. Please remove them. There is much to be said for a warrior's life, but your warriors disturb our Egyptian peace. Remove them, please. Is it not cruel to deny the people of these lands the chance to live beneath that most benign and kindly of lords, great Pharaoh? Pharaoh, whose justice and mercy in mortal seeming is willing to become lord of these lands. I most humbly and respectfully request that these lands are turned over to Pharaoh's divine and merciful care. The armies of Pharaoh, the captain of Anhur, travel where they will, but politeness before entering another's domain is prudent. Seeking the dignity of all, Pharaoh, captain of the hosts of Egypt, wishes armies to march through your lands. Can you not find in your noble hearts to allow passage to divine Pharaoh's armies? The Pharaoh, most unforgetting of kings, will be most appreciative of your steady, reliable monetary support. Surely you can see sense in providing the court of the Pharaoh strength and valor are his with monetary support. I am instructed to ask you for money. Pharaoh, all-wise, does not ask this, but his counselors do. Your worthiness would be renowned throughout Pharaoh's court. Blessed be his brow if you were to be generous. Pharaoh, who brings joy to all his subjects, would remember with kindness any contribution to his coffers. I humbly ask that you provide me with enough gold to restock divine Pharaoh's coffers before he notices. Will you not look to the future and attack these people? Divine Pharaoh sees danger in them. Pharaoh,
wise strategist and brave leader of all, requests that you attack these people when you are able. In his wisdom and in agreement with his generals, divine Pharaoh asks that you attack these people. Pharaoh, Lord of all, betwixt dawn and dusk, wonders if you would break your treaties with this mundane folk. Surely you can see that it is now time to break all treaties and agreements with these worthless brigands. These people are no better than sand-willing thieves and grave robbers. Surely you will set aside all treaties with them. With all respect, you have a duty to join the war against these people and so aid divine Pharaoh. Pharaoh, the merciful and peace-loving, requests that you join the entirely just and righteous war against these people. Divine Pharaoh, heir to Osiris, is no stranger to war, but he requests that you too make it. The Lord of the Nile, Pharaoh, blessed be he, commands that our alliance be washed away as mud in the fast-flowing river. Pharaoh, wisest of the wise, knows men's hearts. That is why all former arrangements are at an end. Pharaoh, blessed be his seed, has declared that Egypt requires no friends. Our arrangements are therefore ended. In honesty, I must tell you that Pharaoh, the wise and magnificent, has cancelled all treaties between us. All treaties between us are now void. Pharaoh, all honor is his, has so ordered the world arranged. Today is a day of honesty. All treaties between us are no more. Divine Pharaoh has ordered it so. Pharaoh, blessed is his breath, instructs that his welcome should no longer be extended to foreign armies. Divine Pharaoh, beloved and brother of Isis, has been disturbed by your armies in his lands. The borders are closed. Pharaoh, Lord of the river and the desert, orders that all borders are now closed to your armies. My lord, the chosen of Ra, commands that your goods and merchants are not welcome in his beloved lands. Divine Pharaoh, having considered your wares, does not wish to see his people cheated. Trade is at an end. Pharaoh, wisest of the wise, believes your merchants work against Egypt's interests. All trade is suspended. Your words are wise and strike to the heart of our dealings. Pharaoh, strength and health to him, will be pleased. I proudly speak for Pharaoh, master of Upper and Lower Egypt, and give assent to your proposal. Divine Pharaoh, master of my destiny, forgive me for the presumption of agreeing to this worthy offer. In Pharaoh's name, virility to his loins, I give assent to your proposal and thanks for it. Divine Pharaoh, brother and beloved of Isis, would have me agree to your proposal, of that I am sure. You speak well for your people, and my heart and head are persuaded. You have an agreement with Egypt. Your offer would never be pleasing to Pharaoh, the beloved of Isis, for he is wise beyond your mortal measure. Your offer weighed against the feather of truth would be found wanting. For divine Pharaoh's part, I can reject this offer. He is an understanding Lord and will forgive my presumption. Were I to accept this offer, I would not sleep peacefully again. Such a fate would be uncomfortable. The day draws on, and I cannot, for divine Pharaoh's part, give voice to any assent. No, your speech is polite, but for Pharaoh, Lord of Upper and Lower Egypt, courtesy is not enough. The Pharaoh, the Lord of armies and Lion of the desert, offers you help against these creatures. Do you want our help against these folk? The armies of Pharaoh, the Lion of the desert, stand ready. If you wish, Pharaoh, the Lord of the Nile, will come to your defense as swift as the river's flood. The Lord of the two Egypts, mighty Pharaoh, insists that an attack be made. The time for talk is over. In dread Pharaoh's name, I demand that your armies march on these people. Pharaoh, master of the Nile, is quite clear. He expects you to attack these insolent dogs immediately. My lord Pharaoh, commander of celestial hosts, insists that your armies, no matter how feeble, defend against these people. There is no time for argument. Pharaoh, strength to his sword arm, expects your troops to march against these people. This is the time for you to show your quality. Every Egyptian general expects your aid against these people. My master's wishes are quite clear. Dread Pharaoh, the scourge and the rod
orders your troops to leave. Now, by order of Pharaoh, divine master of Egypt and lesser lands, remove your troops forthwith. I will hear no argument against Pharaoh, lord of the two houses. Your soldiers will leave his lands. Pharaoh, the great and incomparable, is disappointed that he has even had to ask for these lands. The request is not unreasonable. All in these lands will be happier with Pharaoh, just and kind, as their ruler. I will brook no arguments. Mighty Pharaoh will be master of these lands immediately. Mighty Pharaoh, commander of all beneath the heavens, rightly instructs that his troops should march across your lands. Do not give Pharaoh, the fount of kindness, reason to frown. Let our troops into your lands. It is simple. Allow our troops to march through your lands on pain of Pharaoh's divine displeasure. Pharaoh, peace be unto him, says this: be sensible and accept his stewardship over your lands and souls. Accept Pharaoh, just and mighty as your Lord, lest the eye of Ra open and gaze upon you. As sun rises and moon sets, the season has come for you to accept divine Pharaoh as your Lord. Pharaoh, wise and kind, will assuage his righteous disappointment at your conduct, but there is a price for this. Peace be upon Pharaoh, and may your wealth ensure his divine favor towards you. My embassy now is simple. Divine Pharaoh's coffers ache for lack of riches. You have riches. My master Pharaoh, from whom all kindness flows, is most concerned you are burdened by an overfull treasury. I guarantee that Pharaoh, the just and kind, will think highly of you if you contribute to his treasury. There is no shame and much virtue in giving money to the living embodiment of the gods, divine Pharaoh. My lord Pharaoh, whose words are meat and drink to all, has bid me speak to you concerning this important matter. I speak with the voice of divine Pharaoh, master of the Nile. You should listen as a supplicant. Heed now the words of mighty and divine Pharaoh, and understand that you must respond well. When I speak, you hear the words of Pharaoh, mightiest of monarch and chosen of heaven. Listen well. I give voice to the desires of mighty Pharaoh. His merest whim should be your pressing concern. Heed me now, for I speak with the terrible and awesome voice of Pharaoh, son of Osiris. Do not grovel before me, for I am only the servant of mighty Pharaoh. Instead, listen to his just demands. Pharaoh, strength and health be his, bids me speak to you, foreigner. You, he bids listen carefully. Foreigner though you are, you can at least understand that divine Pharaoh favors you with this offer. It is not divine Pharaoh's place to negotiate terms. It's your place to agree to whatever bounty he offers. The Pharaoh, blessings on his seed and numberless children, will undoubtedly wish me to smile slightly as I reject your proposal. O Pharaoh, strength and wisdom to you, grant me the wit to refuse this proposal politely. I will not trouble Pharaoh's ears, may blessings fall on him, with this proposal. Consider your words rejected. There is virtue in you, if not in your words. I cannot agree, but do this with regret. The scorpion's sting is more gentle than a refusal, but a refusal is all I can offer. My bow would wander the winds in shame if I agreed to such nonsense. My heart would outweigh the feather of truth many times over if I said anything other than no. Even if Bastet herself offered me the sun and moon, I could not say yes to this proposal. Such a proposal would not reflect well on the glory and goodness of Pharaoh, and so must be rejected. Your words have virtue in your ears, but in mine they are the harshest of desert storms. In another place you would now be inspecting from within the entrails of a sacred crocodile. Jackal, viper, scorpion, you try the patience of Pharaoh, from whom mercy and justice flow beyond endurance. 1,000 times no, and then 1,000 more. May your bow have its wings clipped for your voicing of such nonsense. I reject your words, son of falsehood. May the desert sands take you and yours for this insolence. I would sooner mate with a particularly ugly hippopotamus and her husband than accept such a proposal. Gods of Egypt, grant me the strength to spare this idiot from an unmarked desert grave. I will never agree. No. May 1,000 scorpions nest in your living entrails for this impudence to Pharaoh, the mighty and merciful. If a camel spoke your words, I would marvel. That you have spoken so is token only of insolence. Anubis, take thy soul to everlasting darkness. I will never agree to such a thing. If I were not polite, your innards would now be housed in canopic jars for such a speech. Your words are as honey at first, but leave a bitter aftertaste. I must say no to your offer. Would that I could accept your offer, but as a loyal Egyptian, I must reject it completely. I am sure that your offer was well meant, but I, as a humble servant of Pharaoh, wisdom be his, refuse. As long as Nut, the sky goddess, shelters me, I will respectfully say no to your words. I must speak in the voice of Pharaoh, all glory be his, and say no to your requests. You have spoken well and deserve a respectful answer. I regret that Egypt must say no to this offer. I am sorry that our talks must come to this, but for divine Pharaoh's part, I cannot agree. Honesty is the highest form of respect, and so I give you an honest refusal in divine Pharaoh's name. Much wisdom has been spoken, but now I must speak my last for Egypt's part, and with respect refuse you. Thoth has aided our deliberations, but alas, his aid was not enough, and I cannot agree. I think dinner is more likely to bring me satisfaction than bandying further words. The Pharaoh, wisdom and fertility unto him, would have me say this: we have talked too long, to no purpose. Mayat preserve me, are you still speaking? That I was asleep is token of my interest in further talk. Sutek rules your heart and tongue. We have talked and talked and talked of much and nothing. We are done. Enough, I pray. I must find a crocodile to bite off my head, for it buzzes with too much talk. The day is fled away in talk. My tongue is as dry as the desert, while my bladder prays for mercy. In the name of Pharaoh, the All-Wise, I humbly ask that we reach some kind of permanent agreement here today. I would hurl myself into the Nile floods if that would serve in reaching an agreement today. As an Egyptian, I am unused to begging, but I will beg for a treaty if that is required. I call upon Shu to aid us in our deliberations, bringing calm so that we may have a treaty today. Consider carefully my offer. Divine Pharaoh, heir of Osiris, offers formal friendship to you. I can only speak in honesty and hope. Mighty Pharaoh sends me to ask for a treaty between our peoples. I can only speak in hope of moving you to mercy. We would have peace. What say you? Pharaoh, whose divine voice can give only pleasure to his listeners, earnestly wishes you to consider his offer of peace. Sutek has too long clouded all our minds. Now is the time for peace and an end to chaos. Like the desert storm, our war should now blow itself out. This is the dearest wish of divine Pharaoh. Let the wisdom of Thoth influence you now, as you hearken to my sincere plea for peace. Hear my words. Divine Pharaoh, master of the Nile, would have peace with you. It is a worthy offer. My lord Pharaoh, the giver of prosperity, asks you to consider your merchants' well-being. Let us have trade between our peoples. Trade is a good thing between peoples, making both wealth and friendship. Will you not trade with Egypt? As the Nile rises to bring bounty, we should hope for a flood of trade between our lands. In his awful wisdom, the Pharaoh, strength and happiness unto him, offers you his friendship and support. Pharaoh, from whom all terrors flee, offers you the hand of friendship. It would be foolhardy to refuse him. Pharaoh, the heir of Osiris, would have a treaty. A refusal would be tantamount to blasphemy. My master Pharaoh, the awesome and wise, offers you friendship and a shield against our mutual enemies. Pharaoh, Lord of Upper and Lower Egypt, expects that you will accept his proffered friendship immediately. My Lord Pharaoh, one of the beloved of Nut, is entirely confident that there will be friendship between us. The master of the two kingdoms, blessed be he, offers you peace and safety from his armies. You can have peace. You can have peace this day, but only if you agree to divine Pharaoh's offer. Pharaoh, the master of war, will set aside the sword, but you must decide quickly if you want peace. I offer the simplest of gifts from Pharaoh, the merciful and wise. I offer peace. I would take the gift. Pharaoh, the bringer of harmony, offers you peace or unending death. A wise man would take the offered peace. Today, you can leave our talks with peace, or with mighty Pharaoh's undying contempt. Choose quickly. I speak now of trade beneath the notice of Pharaoh, heir of Osiris. But our merchants should thrive. We do not offer trade. We expect it. You should consider yourselves honored that Egyptians even look at your goods. We will do you the honor of allowing you to trade with Egyptians. Do not squander this opportunity. The Lord of the two Egypts, Most High Pharaoh, grants you stewardship of these lands if you wish it. In his infinite wisdom and divine rationality, Pharaoh is pleased to grant you mastery of these lands. Pharaoh, all honor be his, in a spirit of friendship, is pleased to give you control of these lands. Mighty Pharaoh, in his wisdom, is prepared to generously grant you a pension drawn from his wealth. I will speak plainly about money. Divine Pharaoh, in his wealth, would bless you with coin from time to time. I must be plain, I think. Egypt's coffers, well stuffed with coin, will vomit wealth on you if you wish. I offer you honorable treaties and aid against mutual enemies. So speaks my Lord Pharaoh, the chief ornament of Egypt. There is much worthiness in making and abiding by treaties, particularly with Pharaoh, the owner of Egypt. A treaty is a worthy thing. A treaty with Pharaoh, the Lord of the Nile, is worthy twice over. I do not lightly speak of treaties and permanent agreements. I am the honest servant of divine Pharaoh in this matter. Pharaoh, highest of the high, would have a treaty with you. There, honesty is the best approach in these things. I would speak of treaties as between equals. That is the import of my mission for divine Pharaoh. I am ordered by Pharaoh, whose breath perfumes the world, to offer you a just and honorable peace. The Pharaoh, health and long life to him, speaks through me and says but one word, peace. Will you not have peace? Pharaoh, whose heart knows only love, would give you peace if you will take it. Pharaoh, the master of many hearts, has looked into your souls and seen that you are worthy of peace. Swords have been washed in blood for long enough. What say you to peace with the people of Egypt? Pharaoh, the just and merciful, is not a bloodthirsty tyrant and offers peace. Will you not consider this? My Lord Pharaoh, ever mindful of his servants' well-being, considers that trade with your people would be wise. Although gold is beneath the notice of Pharaoh, divine master of Egypt, his servants have mortal prosaic concerns. Divine Pharaoh would smile upon trade between our peoples. Wealth is always welcome. Pharaoh, long life unto him, offers you the following treasure, for such earthly riches are unworthy of his concern. Pharaoh, master of many slaves, offers you wealth, for such is his divine whim today. I am sure that you will accept this treasure, drawn from the coffers of Pharaoh, the incomparably wealthy. The blessings of the Pharaoh, most wise and loving, appropriate to your station as a foreigner, be upon you and our meeting. Be most welcome, friend of Pharaoh, fertility to his manhood and strength to his sword arm. Approach and speak. Pharaoh, master of the Nile, blesses our meeting and wishes all to speak truth so that agreement is reached. Welcome, friend-to-be of Pharaoh, the master of two houses. Speak now of your desires. Greetings, friend foreigner, greetings. Speak, and I will hear your words for Pharaoh, Lord of the Nile.
Pharaoh, the light of his people, bids me welcome you and listen carefully and respectfully to your embassy. You honor me with your worthy presence. I am but a humble servant of Pharaoh, Lord of all true men. I bid you a hearty welcome. Let nothing here displease you. Enjoy the pleasures that an Egyptian can offer. I will listen with all respect to the words you speak and give divine Pharaoh's fair answer to them. Speak, and this humble servant of great Pharaoh will listen. If I can, I will agree to your proposals. Great Pharaoh's entirely justifiable curses. Why do foreigners always bathe in camel piss before important meetings? I would sooner place my own entrails in canopic jars than listen. But speak your words anyway. Have you bathed today? No matter. Speak anyway. But like a decently civilized Egyptian, if you please. Speak if you must. But do not expect much from me today, Outlander. My bowels are greatly troubled. Say your piece like a civilized man, Outlander. Servants of Pharaoh, Lord of all, have no time for babble. It would be wise, foreigner, to begin your begging with proper and correct praise of Pharaoh, the master of the word. Speak wisely if speak you must, for I will listen to your prattle for Pharaoh, my dread overlord. Well, what would you say? I would sooner be in the temple, offering honest sacrifice, than bandying words with you. If you would speak, do so now, and speak well. For the gods listen to and will judge your honesty. Well, whatever you must say, speak it unto me. Mighty Pharaoh is busy with matters of celestial import. In Pharaoh's name, strength and wisdom be his. Welcome. And speak, remembering that all is within his divine hearing. Welcome. And the peace of Pharaoh, the favorite of Isis, be upon our meeting and in our words today. Be welcome, friend of Egypt, and speak of your concerns to mighty Pharaoh's humble representative. I am the ears of divine Pharaoh, for he is not to be troubled by the concerns of ordinary mortals. Come, noble visitor, sit and ease your worries by speaking with the humble servant of Pharaoh, divine master of Egypt. Be at ease, good emissary. Speak your part as though Pharaoh, lord of the upper and lower Nile, listened. Your embassy is most welcome. I listen most carefully as the servant of Pharaoh, lord of the two houses. You undoubtedly have much to say, and I will listen for my master's part, a servant of dread Pharaoh. Let the peace of Pharaoh, all-wise and all-seeing, be on our meeting today, and let us profit from talk. In the name of Pharaoh, Lord of light and darkness, I bid you be welcome and to speak. Your heart brims with insolence to assume that Pharaoh, the sword of his people, makes war as you wish. The swords of Egypt's warriors are not yours to command. That is the right of Pharaoh, Lord of war. So, you think of Egyptians as your mercenaries to be expended in your futile attacks. I speak in the voice of Pharaoh, my beloved master. The Nile will run dry before Egyptians obey your stupid commands. Pharaoh, lord of many soldiers, sees no reason to commit even one warrior to your defense. Pharaoh, lord of the living and the dead, laughs at your pathetic attempts to buy safety with Egyptian lives. The Pharaoh, long life to him, does not treat with slavers and craven merchants such as you. The divine Pharaoh, being not blessed by a lack of wit, is not minded to hand over his subjects to your tender mercies. Do not speak of this again, unless you wish to become as Osiris, beloved by his wife, but bereft of manhood. The lands of Pharaoh, horse reborn, are closed now and in future to your foul, polluting tread. Pharaoh, the sword of heaven, will never contemplate your unwashed filth marching across his lands. After such insolence to Pharaoh's majesty, I should take your foul skin for a shield cover. Keep your armies away. The treasure of Pharaoh, wisdom be his, is not yours to use at will. Others must pay for your whoremongering. Whores always expect payment. But what entertaining service have you given Egypt? Are you river leeches?
to give sack to honest men and drain them of their lives' blood. I will not trouble mighty Pharaoh, whose very breath brings relief from the desert's heat, with your stupid words. O foolish, greedy mortal, you tempt death for even thinking of divine Pharaoh's treasure chambers. Your mothers mated with dung beetles. There is no other explanation for your wanting to live off the efforts of others. You jest, foreigner. We do not laugh, for the royal blood is too pure to bow to your filth. So we are come to this. In Pharaoh's name, strength unto him, I spit defiance in your insolent face. Speak of this again, and I will have you disemboweled and sent back to your people in canopic jars. Tell me, do you wish to be eaten by crocodiles or crushed by hippopotami? I only ask because politeness matters. You seek to take the lands of Egypt? Rash little fool! Pharaoh's divine anger may yet strike you dead. Is this wit among your people? I should cut out such a witty tongue to show to divine Pharaoh. What makes you think you're worthy as allies of Pharaoh, the light of his people, when you should crawl in his presence? On your knees, insolent jackal! Now, beg forgiveness for this presumption, this stupidity, this heresy. Your impudence is most interesting. I wonder if it would seem so appropriate to you in a pit of scorpions. Bah! Why should Pharaoh, Lord of the Two Niles, shackle himself to your corpse in the name of cowardly safety? Are Egyptians particularly stupid? Why would we want formal ties to your obviously inferior kind? Do my ears hear right? You expect Pharaoh, master of an age-old divine land, to have formal ties to upstarts. The Pharaoh, Lord of the Two Egypts, will know peace once more, but only when you have all been shot from a sacred crocodile. Peace? Peace? Is that a woman's weeping that I hear, or a coward's bleating for mercy? Mighty Pharaoh, executioner of the gods, will give you nothing. There are many places in the desert, impudent wretch, where you would be found only by scorpions and jackals. You desire peace? You will be disappointed in your remaining time, for Pharaoh, all honor to his armies, desires war. Pharaoh, the sword of Egypt, will not be satisfied until he bathed in your blood and violated your womenfolk. You worm, you dog, you coward! There can be no peace while your stink is in Pharaoh's divine nostrils. Your worthless goods do not interest the servants of Pharaoh, from whom all wealth flows. Sell them to fools elsewhere. Pharaoh, whose words guide my every thought, would laugh to think Egyptians might want your shoddy goods. Egyptian merchants would find it difficult to sell your foreign stuff in their markets. It is tainted. My jackals eat your liver. You insult the Pharaoh, strength to him, by thinking of him as one of your common trollops. So you think Pharaoh, may his life be ever long, some kind of common laborer then? You are much mistaken. Your humor will eventually be the death of you. Divine Pharaoh does not need your pensions. We are not beetles to be impressed by a handful of your dung. You think to buy the friendship of the divine Pharaoh with a handful of coins and trinkets? Truly, your village must be missing its idiot. Pharaoh, the son of Egypt's skies, is not for sale. This attack is not wise, and I cannot recommend such a course of action to my master, Pharaoh, the shield of Egypt. My lord Pharaoh, all wise in matters of war and peace, would be most displeased if I agreed. I say no to your requests, being sure that Pharaoh, the heir of Osiris, will not attack. Such a course may seem wise, but Pharaoh, the shield of Egypt, thinks differently and will commit no forces. You ask too much of Pharaoh, the protector and spirit of Egypt. He cannot send help. The many forces of Pharaoh, who improves the world with his every deed, are otherwise committed at present. The Pharaoh, whose past wind is a perfume to his subjects, cannot agree to such a marriage of inconvenience. The Pharaoh, whose titles, by the by, do not include Lord of all fools, would surely reject such insolence. You expect what? You have missed your calling. The court of Pharaoh, the merciful, needs a comedian. The Pharaoh, and to whom all roads lead, cannot agree to let your armies march where they will. And fortunately, your soldiers are largely unwashed and foreign. They would disturb noble Pharaoh's peace. Respectful visitors who come to gaze slack-jawed upon Egypt's wonders are welcome, but not when they come armed. The Pharaoh, blessed by he, does not pay bandits when they come calling, nor will he pay you. A fine jest, but not one that makes gracious Pharaoh smile or open his ample purse. Your desire to sample Egypt's wealth is flattering, but perhaps a touch ambitious in its implications. Egypt's mighty Pharaoh, the heir of Osiris and Horus, brother to Isis, anointed of Ra, is not minded to open his treasury. Egypt's treasury doors will remain resolutely shut. Do not look for gold here. I will not trouble Pharaoh, from whom riches flow, with such a request. I say no for him. I humbly and respectfully declare that such an action would displease Pharaoh, the fountain of wisdom and truth. So know then, the Pharaoh all-wise and beneficent would not be so cruel to his people as to accept your proposal. This is foolishness disguised as a particularly poor joke. The answer must be no. You are, after all, not Egyptians. But handing over these lands would deprive the people of the rule of Pharaoh, the all-wise and mighty. Pharaoh, who sweetens the air with his presence, cannot hand over his servants to cruel foreign masters. If Pharaoh, friend of justice, did such a thing, could justice live on in Egypt? My Pharaoh, the favorite of the gods, does not need mortal allies at this time. You ask much of Pharaoh, Lord of all, in seeking a treaty. He is not generous today. Your words are worthy, but they have not won the day. Pharaoh, the master of the sands, will not agree. Your request of Pharaoh, the blessing of the heaven to his people, is unreasonable at this time. You cannot have such an arrangement. Fire and sword may come, but for now, Pharaoh, shield of his people, sees no need for such agreement. Such an agreement may well benefit you, but Pharaoh, the father of Egypt, sees no benefit to his children. The sword of war is in the hand of Pharaoh, the all-conquering. Why should he now sheath it unblooded? Peace, you say? Why should the welcome waters of peace flood your desert of war and suffering and despair? My master, mighty Pharaoh, a merciful lord to honest folk, is not yet done with fire and sword for you. My lord Pharaoh, the wise and merciful to his servants, has not yet finished enjoying your misery. Why would the Lord of the two Egypts have any interest in peace with you? Pharaoh, the dread Lord of the living and dead, is not minded to grant you peace. He wants blood. Trade is beneath the notice of Pharaoh, the all-wise and all-seeing, particularly trade with foreigners. Egyptians do not need to be troubled by foreigners and their goods. So speaks Pharaoh, mightiest of the mighty. Pharaoh, judge of all, is not inclined to allow your merchants into his lands. Your offer is well meant, but you only embarrass yourself. Pharaoh, strength be his, does not sell his friendship. Pharaoh, blessed of Osiris, is minded to refuse your humble offer of mortal wealth. Divine Pharaoh, from whom all wealth flows, has no need of your coin in his treasury. A foreigner will never understand that the blessing of Pharaoh, the father of all, cannot be bought for tawdry gold. Your offer is kind and respectful, but Pharaoh, Horus reborn, has little need of mortal money. Pharaoh, in his divinity, forgives your impudence in offering money as though he were a common king. The Pharaoh, his merest whim is a blessing, is rightly angered. His fury is directed at your trespasses. Remove your men, now. You have offended Pharaoh, the lord of the two lands. Remove your army of vagabonds and wastrels immediately. How dare you pollute the lands of Pharaoh, the divine son of heaven? remove your filthy troops immediately. My master instructs me to ask that you attack these people. Would you refuse Pharaoh, king of the gods? Attack these people, and the favor of the gods, in divine Pharaoh's good wishes, will go with you. Can you not attack these peasants? They offend the sensibilities of Pharaoh, the son of the morning. Mighty Pharaoh, who has never uttered a lie, sees worthiness in defense against these worthless creatures. Pharaoh, light of Egypt, asks you to aid in defense. These unwashed savages must be beaten back. Will you not come to the aid of Pharaoh, the shield of his people? These creatures must be stopped. Mighty and all-seeing Pharaoh, blessed be he, has noticed that your warriors are in his lands. Remove them. Pharaoh, whose eye never sleeps, would have your warriors removed from his lands. My lord Pharaoh, the sword of Egypt, requests that you remove your armies from his lands. They disturb our tranquility. Mighty Pharaoh, the light of heaven and earth, asks that you do not deny the people of these lands the chance to live as his subjects. Pharaoh, the speaker of truth, seeks only the best for these people. Give over their lands to him. Surely you can see that these people will know happiness and contentment when ruled by Pharaoh's mercy and justice. So that your dignity suffers no injury, I ask in the name of mighty Pharaoh that his armies be allowed to cross your borders. Mighty Pharaoh, the shield and sword of Egypt, is minded to march armies across your lands. Do you mind? My master, the great general Pharaoh, means to order his armies to march across your lands. Do you object? On my master's behalf, I urge you to see sense. Accept the mighty Pharaoh, the son of Osiris, as your rightful lord. Come now, see reason. Accept my master, the divine Pharaoh, as your merciful lord and protector. Defiance has gained you little. Accept the lordship of Pharaoh, the sword of the gods, and your new master. While Pharaoh, blessed be his beard, expects all to bow before him, he is willing to forgive discourtesy in exchange for regular tribute. Your cause would be much advanced if you gave Pharaoh, the merciful and wise, regular tribute. In lesser men, a request for money might be grasping. In the case of Pharaoh, the just, it is only proper. The mighty Pharaoh, strength be his, has noticed that his treasure house is in some need of replenishment. Mighty Pharaoh, the steward of the earth, desires Egypt's coffers be filled with a reasonable amount of gold. In his wisdom and prudence, Pharaoh, numismatist of heaven, desires that his store of coin be increased. Pharaoh, son of the gods, is mortal enough to enjoy gifts. Freely given gifts, of course. Any difficulties with Pharaoh, the great architect of Egypt, could be considerably eased with an appropriate gift. While Pharaoh, mightiest of monarchs, can rightly claim the entire world as his own, gifts are always appropriate. Your silly babble would send even a hippopotamus to sleep with its dull droning. For now, save your words. Enough, enough. My ears ache from your hideous babble, and my guts roil from your foreign reek. Away with you! In the name of Pharaoh, the Lord of patience. Enough, enough. Trouble my ears no longer. Oh, gentle crocodiles, come end my suffering with your kindly jaws and teeth. I can listen no more. Are we done? As a servant of mighty Pharaoh, my protector and master, I have better things to do. Your thoughts dash from river to desert like a maddened jackal. Speak no more, for we are done. The Pharaoh, the divine Horus reborn, will send your soul screaming into a dark afterlife. May your shields and spears shatter. Mighty Pharaoh, his sword unsheathed in wrath, will widow your wives and orphan your children. Prepare your tombs. Mighty Pharaoh, the lion of the Nile, will draw the sword and sheathe it in your entrails. War! You will go screaming into the afterlife, sent by the armies of Pharaoh, the captain of the gods. As the dust of the desert, you will be trampled by the gold-shod feet of the all-conquering Pharaoh, look to your souls and make sure your foul gods judge you worthy of the afterlife. We will have war. The sands will cover your cities. Your names will be forgotten. So speaks Pharaoh, noblest of all. We are at war. Only when the jackals have finished feasting on your flesh will merciful Pharaoh be satisfied.